Greetings all, this is Hairy Nick.
And this is a less hairy Justin.
Yes, now first of all, we apologise if there's a slight delay between us. Our net connection is not great this morning, so if we have to pause and let Justin catch up and all that kind of stuff, it's because we're recording on my computer. Justin is a very sharply dressed man this morning, however, he may be not a very sharply rendered man for the whole video. I apologise for that. Pink flamingos, man, you rock that look. One more thing, apologies. This video is almost 2 weeks late. We just came out of lockdown. I work in retail. Oh boy, lots of energy spent into my work.
Gets in the way.
Indeed, it wasn't for lack of wanting. I've been keen to talk about this for 2 weeks, but we've got it now. Bye, doggo. We saw it. We all saw it. We all saw Justin's doggo. There we go. We're not cutting that out. So, we had a few interesting things happen with the points in X-Wing. We had an emergency points change, which we'll talk about towards the end of this. But of course, we also had the release of the TIE Heavy and the Heroes of the Resistance. No, that's the old one. What's it called? HOH. Heroes of Hope. Heroes of Hope.
Yes.
That's right. X-Wings and A-Wings. And, Justin's got all pixelated.
There's a lot of X-Wings and A-Wings, and they look really good.
Indeed. In fact, look, let's talk about those first. But just towards the end of the video, I also want to talk about the emergency points change, like the ethics behind that and all that kind of stuff, because I think it's a very interesting topic. Let's jump over to... let's go X-Wings first. I think this is probably the more interesting one. Apologies, I can see on the recording we've just covered up some of the stats here, but we do have all the points, which is the most important part. This Poe Dameron here is our new one. And he actually comes in 2 points under the old Poe Dameron, which I thought was an interesting choice. I thought there was a real risk of him being a bit more expensive.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think the new one, he can only do it once every 2 turns, as opposed to Poe, which does it on himself every single turn.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the new Poe is able to push the limits on a different ship. That is the upside. The downside is you can't do it every single turn. And let's not beat around the bush. I think that is significant downside. There is certainly turns or parts of an X-Wing game where you want to, be doing those double actions every turn because you want to capitalize on your positioning, your firepower, all that kind of stuff. In first edition, when we actually had pushed the limits as a card, it was frequently a card that you just do turn after turn, especially with pilots like Suntafel and the likes. I look at this and think, okay, I am not an X-Wing tester. I have not seen the downside of this. And if FFG have decided this is 2 points less than Poe Dameron, I think we've basically just got to trust them on that one. We've just got to basically trust the testers and go, yeah, okay. I think that makes sense. It could have easily been a little bit more. It could have easily been a little bit less. Sounds good. The other one I want to talk about here is Temmin Wexley coming in at 54 points. A point more than the old Temmin Wexley, but, whatever. Really cool. Like, the upside on this card is ridiculous. I think what it might offer in terms of a new list archetype, we're talking X-Wings, no A-Wings, or there's also discussion around this. Is this good enough that you just run 2 X-Wings and maybe 3 A-Wings? Like, is it still that good?
These 2 ships are just great support ships. Both of them just helping out either ship, either themselves or the others. It just looks good.
It's going to be tough fitting them in specifically. What's that? 119 points just for those 2 alone.
But could you imagine like the magical Christmas land of like where you'd give an extra ability to Temmin and then like flip them over. They both get calculates. It just
I know they converge on one target. I know, man. Like, you live in magical Christmas land. That T-shirt lives in magical Christmas land. I get it.
This is going to be one of my Christmas outfits. It's going to come with a pair of matching shorts, socks, and hat.
Oh, for those watching,
it's going to be terrible.
For those watching, here in Australia, we celebrate Christmas in summer. So, like, Hawaiian shirts on Christmas Day is a very common thing for us. It's really cool. I like it. It's a weird tradition, but I freaking love it. Yeah, look, I don't think meta-wise we're realistically looking at both of these pilots. I don't think together. But I think it's really cool, and I think you casual players out there should give it a go and just try and make that kind of ridiculous stuff happen. Like maybe two of these and a few like generic A-Wings.
Yeah, a while ago I saw an Obese Poe, which was literally over 100 points of upgrades. It was insane, and I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Obese Poe. Is it like Poe Ray, that kind of build?
Like they just literally just showed Poe. There's nothing else. They're just like, just fly this.
Just fly that. Well, you know what we should do? We should have one of our tournaments with our patrons. We should just have memes. Every list must be a meme, and we will approve every list one by one. And like, no. You can't have double defenders or A-Wings. Like, it's got to be every list must be an absolute meme. Let's do that, man. That sounds really good.
Yeah, let your memes be dreams.
That's it. So those two pilots are the main ones we're looking at there. With the A-Wings, pilots of interest. Sefton Vanek. Absolutely interesting, coming at the same points cost as Taliesin Lintra. I think this could very easily slip into that list as just another one of these Initiative 5s. I know people sort of roll their eyes and groan at this kind of stuff, but the ability's great.
They just do their job.
I think the only thing that would hold this back is literally the fact that there are so many good Initiative 5s on the A-Wing already, and it might just be a case of, I have to have Taliesin Lintra. Completely understand. The other really interesting one here is Merle Coburn coming at the same points cost as the Blue Squadron recruit. So if you are one of the people flying
that surprised
one of the Blue
me.
Squadron recruits, if you're one of the people flying that Blue Squadron recruit, which it's a thing, like this is a meta list where you fly one Initiative 1 A-Wing as a distraction method, just fly Merle instead, because the ability actually just, it works. Yeah. It completely works in that archetype. So, yeah.
Good on FFG for working on that one. That's good stuff.
I suppose so. I mean, some people might be a bit confused by that. Oh, by the way, I apologise. I can see like some of the names being cut off here. That's why we'll have the cards on the screen so we are not missing out on anything. Distracting Daredevil. Yeah, I don't know. I think just strictly making a list better is dangerous. I don't want to see it happen too often.
Yeah, but it's sometimes nice to see something with an extra ability just doing something a little bit more.
I will say...
it's not a huge upside.
Oh, no. It's not a huge upside. I will say I like that FFG going, okay, we want you to fly named pilots. That's always been part of the ethos of X-Wing, so I get that. And it's not terribly egregious, so it's cool.
No.
It's cool.
I wonder where Mel Corbin must be from, like the Poe comics or something. I wonder what they look like.
Most of them are.
Yeah.
Just jumping over to some of these upgrades, we have here... let's look at the Blaster Cannon first. The Underslung Blaster Cannon for 3 points. Yep, seems pretty solid. It's a target
I was going to say
a target lock on.
Too much.
Too much? You reckon?
Too much, I reckon. I reckon even, like... 2 points, I'd be like,
But Justin, Obese Poe, we were just talking about this.
Yeah, but with Obese Poe, you could put on a really good cannon.
Yeah, but the really good cannon isn't giving him different targeting options. This is something. It's a gimbaled cannon that can move around at the exchange of a target lock, which I think is actually pretty good. The ability to shoot something that he couldn't otherwise shoot. Yeah, I'm down for that.
Yeah, I don't know. With Obese Poe, I'd rather put on proton torpedoes. Make it real obese.
Oh, but you got to do both, man. But you can't. Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Ah, I see.
It takes up that hard point. Yeah.
I think 3 points is correct. I think it's a conservative choice. Being able to shoot with essentially what is a turret on a ship that essentially can't always take a turret, it's good to be conservative with that in the meantime. Plus, the T-80s might come out. It might be a factor on those as well. Maybe FFG are already planning the T-80, and they go, okay, this has to be this many points to make sure it doesn't break that new platform. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, that's true.
A backward tail slide at 2 points. Yeah, it seems about right. I don't think this talent's like too crazy. Going over rocks is awesome, but at the same point, costing a talent is really that's where the real cost of this card is. So I think that's just fine. And also,
now, can this go on the T65 as well, or is it just
X-wings? Yeah, it can go on T65s.
Yeah, nice. That's something good for the rebels.
Oh yeah, for sure. If they weren't already taking upgrades in talents, cool. Can't go on Luke. Luke doesn't have talents because he's a Force user. But yeah, it could be interesting. I just don't think it's that exciting compared to other things we can be doing. Yeah. And Starbird / the A-Wing talent, 1 point. Considering most A-Wings have 2 talents.
Yeah. No, this is Heroic and Starbird / I think it's...
Yeah, like, can Heroic and Starbird / like, break the Heroic crackshot sort of...
Yeah,
meta?
I think it's going to be... Yeah, you either take Heroic crackshot or Heroic Starbird.
Yeah, for sure. Like, there's arguments for both, but...
Yeah,
seems cool. Moving on to some Astromechs. R2! 6 points.
During your end phase, you may spend 1 charge and 1 shield to remove 1 red token. During the end phase, if you have no active shields, you may spend 2 charges to recover 1 shield and gain 1 deplete token. It has 4 charges.
Okay. Yeah, we spoke about this before. It's really hard to assess because of the level of complexity. Hey, but as I said before, when we revealed the card, the fact that it has a lot of very good sentences on it, like removing red tokens, recharging shields, all that kind of stuff, is all good. 6 points might be a bit steep, but as I said, Justin, obese Poe, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen.
With obese Poe, wouldn't you take BB-8?
But it is the new Poe tech running R2 instead of BB-8.
Yeah.
Where was BB-8 during that last battle? Was it rolling along next to all the?
He was, wasn't he?
Was it? I can picture that, but I don't know if that's just my mind's eye being an idiot. I don't know. A lot of really abrasively visual things happened during that scene, so I don't know. But what I'm saying is R2-D2 with Poe is canon, so let's not discredit that for what it's worth. Also, R6-D8. This is Tim and Wexley's Astromech.
Indeed. This says, while you perform an attack, you may re-roll a number of attack dice up to the number of friendly ships at range 0 to 3 that have the defender in their bullseye arc.
It's great.
4 points.
Yeah, 4 points is really good. That's actually... I was expecting like 5 or 6 on this one.
Yeah, and especially considering you've got your if you're flying A-Wings along with this, A-Wings always have everything in arc, in bullseye arc, so...
Yeah, A-Wings always win. Poe alongside A-Wings or Temin alongside some A-Wings. Oh no, Temin doesn't work with A-Wings, but yeah.
No, but even some of the older X-Wing pilots with this...
Sure.
Could be good.
It doesn't require a massive build around. I mean, you get 1 reroll consistently. I mean, it's just bad Predator at that point, I guess. But still, that's great. That's just really solid. Yeah, I don't have much to say about that. That's 4 points. Yeah, take it. I could easily see that going up to 5 or 6 points, but let's just see how it goes meta-wise first.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Let's move along to the TIE Brute.
Yes, big chonky boy himself.
Big chonky boy. Now, I think the main conversation around this is with the generics. Looking at sort of buying cost of 34, 36 points, it sits a little bit lower than the TIE Reaper. I've actually had a few patrons on our Discord chat about this already, and like the consensus is like it's DOA. I don't think that's entirely fair. The reasons for that is it's too hard to quantify. It's a very different ship for the Empire. However, I will concede the point that the Empire has a huge stack of ships already. A huge stack of very competitively costed ships, more to the point. So cracking into it's always very, very difficult.
The fact that they do have 2 cannon slots, which means that they can take the synced laser cannons.
Oh, it's
nothing
great
to scoff at.
It looks really, really good. It's just not something that we've seen before on the Empire. I mean, it's a heavy hitter. Yeah, you could kind of compare it to like an Alpha Striker, but it's not really doing that. Especially Legendary, giving passive offensive mods to other ships. Kind of Howl Runner-esque, but different as well.
Yeah, I was going to say more broadside-esque.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's this kind of effect is new for the Empire. I dig it. Like I think this is a very interesting kind of thing. It may encourage new kinds of list building. Indeed, the upgrade card we got alongside this gives more support to something like Howrun. In fact, let's bring it up. Ion Limiter Override for 3 points. This is something which is giving support to the Empire that doesn't really help any pre-existing list. Like this is interesting on Howrunner, for example. And I'm quite interested, like a brute Howrunner list kind of thing with like a mini swarm next to it. It could be cool. Yeah. And I think encouraging Empire players to try something different is always a good thing. I know a lot of the mentality behind Empire players is often to sort of min-max the existing lists. It's how it's been for a long time. Like 1.0 was always how can we make Sunterfell better until the very last few waves where Sunterfell fell out of favour. And maybe that's just the mentality they're going into it with. I just like that we're encouraging different kind of things. If we're going to establish something new on the existing 3 factions from 1.0, let's actually make something new. Let's not just introduce something that's going to make those old lists better. Okay.
Yeah. Justin,
let's talk about Nantex.
Nantex, they went up. They went up to go up.
It was not a little bit. It was a lot. I completely 100% agree with this. You can still run 6 of them, but it must be the Stalgaze and Hive Guard with a Gorgle if you want to save another point there. If you were going to run 6 of them, it would be 5 of them with Gorgle, which leaves you 3 points total to, I don't know, do a couple of marksmanships and maybe a marksmanship and a crack shot.
Yeah.
It's not 6 Patronaciaces with 2 talents anymore. Thank the maker. It's gone. It was dumb. You can't even run 6 Patronaciaces anymore. It goes over 200 points now.
210, wasn't it?
Something like that. 35 by 6 is 210. Yeah, just. Yeah. Good. We were talking about this before. Like, they could have been a bit more conservative and made it so, like, the Patronarchy Arena Ace was 33 points. Or even, like, 32 points and limiting the amount of talents. They just went, no, stuff it. We just don't want to see that at all.
Yeah.
By all means, I still think there's a conversation about trying to run 6 of them with the lower cost generic. Because it's still a lot of firepower. It's still 3 red dice attacks. But I don't think it's going to have the dominance it had.
Nah.
Yeah, it was dumb. Like, we saw the numbers. If you want to watch, like, our recent Meta Watch with one of Gold Squadron podcast tournament, they've done their own Meta Watch videos in their podcasts about it. It was basically all the top cuts were a smattering of different lists. Occasionally there'd be like a 2 of, like a Boba Fett Fen Rao list or Boba Fett Guri list, or some such like resistance combinations with A-Wings and X-Wings. But it was always a smattering of one-ofs and like 6, 7, or 8 of these Nantex lists. So, no, it was clearly needed to be fixed. Like, there's no 2 ways about it. It was balked. I just want to sort of talk about this briefly because I asked people, like, what they think of emergency points changes or, like, in general, in gaming emergency bans. Justin, what's your overall attitude towards this kind of stuff?
As long as it's not something happening every week.
For sure.
I don't really see a big problem with it. The problem I do sort of have is when, as soon as someone is just shouting at the world going, you know, make this cost more, make this cost less, and FFG keep listening to them.
I do badly against this, therefore it must change. Yeah.
Yeah. That I have a problem with. But
for sure.
Like with this was just obvious broken to begin with.
Yeah, for sure. We can use numbers and facts to prove that this was balked.
Yeah. And you either had people flying this, people flying things that would beat this, or people that would be flying things that beat the other thing.
Now, in some games,
and that was it.
In some games, having that, having the meta and the counter meta is an accepted reality. With X-Wing, because we have points changes, we're sort of trying to move away from a meta that's trying to answer other parts of the meta. That's where lists get pushed out. And we don't want any list to be pushed out. If anything, like every time we see a points change, we want to see at least one or two kinds of lists be more viable. And when you get a meta, which is essentially Nantex and things that can beat Nantex, that's bad. That's not a position we want to be in. I think you hit the nail on the head. We don't want it too often, and we don't want a situation where it's happening for bad reasons. Having said that, and I want to sort of bring the comparison to X-Wing to MTG, a game where we're seeing lots of bans very frequently, especially within the last 2 years. We've had more standard bans in the last 2 years than the previous 10 years before it. It's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
The game has real design issues right now, which is astonishing to say. Like, in all the time I've played X-Wing, I've always said, hey, I love this game, but one of the things that FFG don't quite have really nailed is design. But moving into 2.0 and comparing it to MTG now, it's like, oh my god, the tables have completely turned.
Yeah.
The design is so much better in X-Wing now. And seeing all these emergency points bans, the problem is emergency points bans. Everyone in MTG are always very happy to see the bans for the most part. If anything, the community's response is, oh, we need more and more bans. The problem is the need for the bans in the first place. The problem is the design mistakes. And
also the problem with MTG is that once the cards are printed, that's it. You can't change the points or anything like that on them. We got lucky with the companions insofar as the rules weren't written on the card so that you could change that.
They changed a keyworded ability. It's kind of like, what would be the X-Wing equivalent? It would be like changing the way you can take certain upgrades because a complete an upgrade type is balked. That's sort of the only comparison I can think of. But in Magic there was that there was an entire ability that was completely stuffed, and every other deck had one of this new kind of card, and
you had to have commanders in your commander and your commander.
Oh god. Oh. There are fundamental issues with that game because of its current design trajectory. Whereas X-Wing, we know why this happened with the Nantex, and we know why they fixed it. FFG wrote an entire article about this, and FFG, if you're watching, that is awesome. Do that every points change. Give us your reasoning. Show your working, please. It's great. It's so interesting. And it
means that we've got something to talk about.
that too. I'm not going to talk about it directly now. If you're interested in this, go read that article. It's great. I want more transparency from FFG, and I realise they're a much smaller company than someone like Wizards. That's fine. But it adds accountability to your game, and
I feel like FFG have been doing this sort of slow burn trajectory up, and it's just getting slowly better and better and better. Well, Magic, it's just sort of it's a very sharp, it's all just up and down sort of thing. Well,
remember in Ixalan where we were praising this new design team? That was only a couple of years ago.
Do you remember that everyone hated Ixalan?
Yeah, I know, but Ixalan and Dominaria were the start of, we got this new design team in, everything's getting fixed, and the praise that was lavished on that, rightly so.
How good was Dominaria?
Oh, Dominaria was awesome. Dominaria. Oh, how did they... Oh my... It's kind of crazy to think, where was X-Wing 2 years ago? We just started 2.0, and Magic was 1,000 sets ago. Of course, they release 1,000 things a year, and it's so hard to keep up with. The volatility of Magic is the main reason I choose not to talk about it in general. I'm just talking about it now because of how it relates to X-Wing and how we can sort of have the thing to compare it to. I don't think let's just have our thesis statement here because we've been rambling for a little while now. I do not think that the fact that they changed the points in Nantex is a bad thing at all. The fact that they're adding accountability by having this article, talking about it directly, actually talking directly to the fans is great. As long as they learn from this misstep. That's all I will say. That's all I will say. Emergency changes are a good thing if done right.
Now, we should also be getting a points change at the end of this month, shouldn't we?
We were around June, July. Oh, yeah, it will be soon, actually. At least a month away.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I dig it. I dig it. I've said before, I think they should be more frequent. I think 3 times a year minimum, potentially even 4 times a year. At least make it roughly line up with the schedule of releases. So give yourself a chance to change the points every time we have a new release, which is roughly every 3 or 4 months, depending on how effective their manufacturing is, coronavirus, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff.
I think, this year has been a bit of a random one.
That's my final thoughts. Emergency points change good, as long as it's done right, and we should actually be increasing the frequency of points changes in general. I think we will leave it there, Justin. I think we've had a good old chat about all this new stuff. Please, in the comment section, what are your thoughts on all of this? Always like to chat to all of you about this because it helps inform us and our videos, which is really what...
Should I get more Hawaiian shirts?
I think you should.
Let me know.
I think I should get a Hawaiian shirt. That's great. I don't know what would match the orange hair though, like a darkish blue. I think dark blue and white would go for me.
Yeah.
I like the floral
I can
patterns.
see that.
You go flamingos, I go floral. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, we are both secure men. Very secure in our masculinity. We can wear the fancy fancies, and we friggin' love it, man. We love it.
Gotta love it.
Indeed. Anyway, we've rambled long enough. Thank you all so much for watching. If you'd like to support us, like and comment, do all the things, hit the bell icon, smash that like button, as some other YouTubers say. Also, we have a Patreon for the channel, so we have the link for that down in the description if you want to help support us monetarily. Means a lot. Everyone that's subbed to the channel, everyone that's joined the Patreon so far, massive thank you to. It genuinely helps us keep doing this. At the end of the day, this is a business, and we do need to sort of say, hey, it has to keep growing, otherwise we just realistically can't do this. So it genuinely means a lot. It genuinely means a lot. With all that in mind, me and Justin will catch all of you in the next video.
Bye.